This podcast was produced as a part of the project supported under Public Diplomacy 2020 New Dimension, being co-financed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Poland. The publication expresses the views of the authors exclusively and does not represent the official position of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Poland.
Okay, hello everyone. About vertical farms, it's a family-based company. We have started it with my wife 1.5 year ago, so pretty young, and this explains the reason that we are still in the technology development phase. For beginning, we wanted to go into the business of natural cosmetics, but once we did the market research, we found out that Europe and especially Poland provides a very big number of manufacturers of natural cosmetics. So this didn't sound really as a good idea. So we were walking around this area, around this industry to look for problems that might actually be a burden to all of the manufacturers. And this is the way that we ended up with the topic of plant extracts, of ingredients for those natural cosmetics, food, and drugs. Because we have discovered that actually the ingredients and the marketing behind those so-called natural and organic products, they're all based on contemporary agriculture techniques, or either it be greenhouses or open field agriculture. It has a lot of drawbacks. Rafał from Plantalux already mentioned a couple of them. It's in unpredictability of the conditions for growing. So especially with the recent years, the climate change is accelerating. So we are not able to predict what grows and how it grows in the open field. Also, Smartberries addresses this problem that the amount of polyphenols in different berries in different times in different fields is subject to change. So what you get from this agriculture, those ingredients lack the repeatable quality that might be beneficial to the final product. But also we have the problem of contamination with chemicals. So we are using even more plant protection products, the pesticides, the herbicides that end up in the final product. So we either eat it, consume it, or use it with the creams and other cosmetics that we use. So understanding those drawbacks, those shortages, we looked into technologies that might be actually a solution to them. So this is how we decided to combine vertical farming and supercritical CO2 extraction. So vertical farming is pretty much obvious to everybody. It's about growing plants indoors with artificial light, for instance, provided by Plantalux, to develop those active compounds, to develop the extracts in a very similar manner in each of the growing sessions, to have a same product at the end of the process. And then it's about the ability of taking out the most precious, the most valuable things that are in those plants that we have actually developed. So vertical farms provide us a fresh plant. Then we dry the leaves and use the supercritical CO2 extraction method. So basically, it's about flowing CO2 through the dried leaves, and the CO2 under very, very high pressure, it takes out all of the necessary or the valuable compounds, and we are left with some kind of an oil and water extract that can be then used in many multiple industries. The innovation we are actually addressing is about finding the right parameters of growing those plants indoors, because as Rafael has mentioned, we are resigning from the sun as the manager of the growing process. We are not able, or we are at least not able to economically provide the same spectrum of the light. So we are finding the optimal spectrum that gives ideal conditions for different plant species to metabolize whatever we expect from a certain plant species. So the challenge we are facing is that the microclimate and the light spectrum that we are developing is very, very different for each of the plant species. So our business, for start, it's about building the right environment, but in the following steps, it's about finding the right temperature, the right light exposure, humidity, irrigation, nutrition for each plant species to have the most beneficial, the most valuable extract there can be. As I mentioned, we are pretty young, but we have dedicated our first year of existence to proof of concept phase. So we did the technology screening of our concept. We looked for optimal technologies available on the market, and we find a very cooperative technology provider from Finland. So we have grown one type of plant there and transported it into Poland to dry it and extract afterwards. And in this manner, we proved that it is feasible, it is economically viable to do this process, to provide the highest quality extract with a pretty acceptable price tag on the product. A little bit about the market. So we are delivering those extracts for three main industries. It's the food and beverages sector. There is also the cosmetics sector that was behind our concept from the beginning, and also diet supplements and medicines are something that uses much of those so these eco and organic trades that we are addressing, they are becoming more and more popular. We will see how COVID situation will address this, but nowadays it's over $20 billion for the extracts of multiple plants, also from fruits and vegetables. But the herbs that we will be able to grow in the vertical farm is also a big part of the market. As the topic of our meeting today is about EU funds, I must indicate that we have utilized the possibilities at every possible stage. So the proof of concept stage that we have tried was within an incubation program. We were allowed to have like over half a year of trainings, workshops, and a little bit of funding to have this proof of concept done. And this prepared us for a next bigger step, where actually at this moment we are building the production, the pilot scale production plant. It's 100 square meters of a vertical farm within a 300 meters production site, and we were able to secure a grant from Polish government, from EU funds, around 300,000 euros, to have this pilot plant taken up in December this year. Maybe we will end in January next year. But with this infrastructure, we will be able to start working on different species, on different extracts. And we are optimistic that 1.5, 2 years of experiments will allow us to further scale, to move to the really big industrial scale, where we will be able to have 120 tons of crops to be processed and have a minimum of €1 million of revenue each year. Very briefly about the team and collaboration, especially when applying for EU funds in Poland, it's very important to secure all areas of expertise. So, as I said, we started the company with my wife. She is an expert in the marketing industry. She has worked for multiple cosmetics companies, with building promotion strategies for introducing new brands to the market. I am with the financial sector for the last 9 years, so I advised companies on building new production plants, on conducting R&D. So it's obvious we lacked a lot of technological skills. So we had to find cooperation with research institutes, and it's a good thing that nowadays the universities, at least in Poland, are become more and more open to cooperation with the business. So we have one public university and one research institute that is cooperating with us on this challenge to find the right parameters, the right conditions for growing certain plants. We have a logotype here of the Netlet company. So this is the technology provider of vertical farm from Finland. Before we chose this company, we did a technology screening. We have contacted Aerofarms, we have contacted Crop One, some company from Italy, and we have compared different approaches and decided to choose the one. It is also very beneficial, in our opinion, to work with international standardization bodies. So we're accessing a farm tech society. So it's an international network of companies that will be using indoor farming techniques, vertical farming techniques, greenhouse farming techniques, into introducing advanced technologies, sensors, lighting into contemporary agriculture. So it's always a good thing to have this fresh input of knowledge and opinions from that. So I just wanted to stress this. About our achievements, maybe very briefly, this first year that we were working on the business model, we entered 3 incubation projects. Each of them was slightly different. One was focusing on marketing issues, the other one on testing, obtaining partners from the business sector that would actually find our product useful. the last one is about the financing, right? So about the ability to build the infrastructure, because on our own we wouldn't be able to do that. We had to invest some our private money for the initial tests, initial proofs of concept, and then we received 85% of costs for the pilot installation, but we also have to take into consideration that all of the financing sources have some upper limits of the financing. So depending on the source you are applying to, you can get 85%, but you might have a top limit of, let's say, 1 million zlotys. So it's around 230,000 euros. And these are the investment sources. With the R&D, it's very similar with the European level. So pretty much there are different rates for different types of activities within the project, but more or less you get 70 up to 80% of co-financing for research and development. And you have to look for the remaining part. Either you invest your own resources, or you have to find some other source for private money. So you cannot take two sources of financing to have 100% of support. It's always the upper limit, 70-80% for R&D, and the rest has to be provided by you. The strategy has a short-term and a long-term part. So the easiest way to access the market for us is to join the distributors, to join their supplier list, and expect that they will find clients that will require our extracts. So we talked to two distributors of extracts. In Poland, I guess that there are around 10 recognizable distributors. So this is for start, for short term, to access the market early. But this strategy, of course, gives away the profit that we can make on the product. So in the longer term, we would be trying to target the manufacturers themselves. So to omit the intermediary and contact the manufacturers directly. Especially in the pharma sector, it will be about doing some research prior to selling the extracts. So it will be a longer cooperation that we will have to enter to. So both channels will be in our strategy, but for start, it's about entering the market. But in the long run, it's about individual cooperation. We actually believe that COVID will provide an opportunity for us, because if you look at the suppliers of natural extracts, like big share of the market is controlled by Southeast Asia producers, mainly in China, but also South America. So I believe that this COVID situation will influence the logistics chains in the way that producers will seek suppliers nearby. So I guess it will be easier for us to convince the supplier, the producers, the manufacturers in Germany, in Switzerland, in France to use a product that has been developed and produced within the European Union, even with a relatively higher price tag on it. But I believe that the credibility, the trust that we will be able to build because of giving guarantee or showing how we are growing those plants will allow us to take advantage of the COVID situation. But I guess we will be starting to sell next year. So it's just the impression that we are having some interest and talks with the manufacturers. At this point, they are expressing the interest in testing the extract. So we don't actually have any numbers for that, but I believe this is the general impression that COVID will act as a anti-globalization factor. So working with local companies might be a trend of the future. In very brief words, this is about us. We are utilizing or trying to utilize further EU funds that are available in Poland. Especially, we are moving to the research and development projects, and not only in Poland but in whole European Union. This was in recent years a big topic and will be in the following years. That the economy should accelerate, promote the research and development products. So I hope it will allow us to move on with our product. Thank you.